Welcome to Sekhet-Maat, Oasis, Qabalah 101. I'm Frater Audeo, and this is Soror Luz-y.
Hello.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will. Oh, yep. Welcome to our free class. A suggested donation of $10 would really help us to continue our mission for offering these events in the future. If you are able to give, but it's not necessary, we would greatly appreciate any financial support from whomever. If you like our content in our classes, please make sure to like and subscribe our videos and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button so you can get updates on our new stuff. We have new stuff every week.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
All right.
That's where we are.
Okay. And also, another slight disclaimer, I may pronounce things differently than you. I may use different correspondences than you do. I don't claim to be a master. I do claim to be a student along with you, with a constant striving to learn and share the information that I've learned. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Today, we're doing the sixth path of intelligence, sixth path of out of the 32 paths of wisdom, the 32nd path, or this. Let me start over. All right. Out of the 32nd path, the 32 paths of wisdom, we're on the sixth path of the mediating consciousness. Apparently that didn't want to come out. Maybe I need a little more meditating consciousness or something today, but instead we're dealing with the mediating. And it's funny because the mediating consciousness, another way to term that would be the reconciler. The one that kind of makes opposites balance out or makes different ideas come together. I'm sorry, the lines are a little messed up on our diagram. That was one of the things that we were working on right before. We kind of a little bit discombobulated on a couple of items today. Not a big deal, but the lines don't line up, I noticed. Yeah. The reconciler between them. So what does that mean? So something that if you're looking at that tree of life, those are the ruach, if you were thinking of the tree of life and it's as in terms of Kabbalistic psychology, the ruach or the life breath. So that's all of what makes up our nature. Tiphareth is what would be kind of, if you kind of thought about what would be left behind when all of the ego is gone, that is the base self, the Christ consciousness, your holy guardian angel, whatever term you would like to use, that's where we make contact. That's the grade of 5 = 6, the Adeptus Minor. It's the one that balances your positive and your negative. I always think of like Geburah and Chesed as the little angels sitting on my shoulder, one trying to talk me into one thing and one trying to talk me into another thing. Same in the lower nature of our desire and our intellect, what feels good and what should be good, what seems like a great idea and what would be fun. Or what, and those are real simple terms for talking about something deep. And then you have down in the bottom as Yesod, and that's going to be your subconsciousness, your specific. A lot of times that's not included with the ruach. I think it kind of is, but oftentimes it's its own deal, which would be the nefesh with the animal soul and the instinctual nature. But it's very strongly tied to our subconscious nature. So you've got intellect, and desire, and subconsciousness on the lower personality triad. And all of those things need a balancing point or a something that ties all of those together to work appropriately, because if you can't really have one without the other. We need a drive. We need something to be devotional to. If we get stuck in our head, we're not really going anywhere. if we get stuck in our animal consciousness, just fulfilling our instinctual needs, we're not really moving anywhere. We need all of the aspects of our consciousness to function as a whole, as opposed to functioning as a individual part. And that's the beauty of Tiphareth, or the idea represented by Tiphareth. So now we'll just go ahead and get going on the minutia part, where the correspondence is not really minutia. That's not a good word for it. But the sixth Sapphire of Tiphareth it translates as beauty. If you were to transliterate the Tiphareth, it just means beauty. It's the mediating consciousness attributed to the sun, as opposed to the moon, which is right below it. And that's kind of fitting even in the natural cosmology. The moon reflects what the sun shines. And notice it's above it, so works out pretty well. It's attributed to the element of air. And that is, even in the Tetragrammaton, it is the Vav. That Vav represents all 5 of those spheres that you see. And that is the life breath. It's Ruach can be translated as life breath as well, or the life-giving breath. At first there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And all that is said to mean really is that at first there was vibration. There was that breath of life blowing into creation, animating the inner and bringing life to it. The mystic number is 21, and those are easily, they purely are just 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5 + 6, and that's how they get to the mystic number. But you'll see them used in ritual, and that's why I include them. I already said it's 5/6, the Adeptus Minor, which is pretty high up the tree. If you've been working a graded system, 5/6, it's pretty high. You've just now entered the second order of most orders, of all orders really, that use the tree of life as a glyph representing the grades. It's 5 = 6. It'd be the fifth step up the tree, and the 6th Sephira. That's where the 5 and the 6 come from. We've talked about it being the ego consciousness, and that it pertains to the Ruach. This is where you would first make, not that nobody has made it yet, but very concretely, devotion to the great work would be done in this sphere, or in this grade ceremony, in this level of consciousness. It's kind of like the no turning back. You accept the great work as your duty on this plane until you achieve the next level of crossing the abyss. This would be something that, where you decide this is you, and this is what you're working with. Right. And initiation. Obviously, it's an initiation at this level. And like I said, it's far. And even us doing these path workings, I keep saying that every week that we do these again. Congratulations to those that have stuck it out this far and keep coming back for more, because these are little mini initiations, and it takes work and perseverance to get this far. So good job. Mm-hmm. Especially having to listen to me. Animals, real and imaginary. You've got the phoenix, a lion, a griffin, a child, a pelican, a hawk, a peacock, and a spider. I think you can kind of see the associations pretty easy. The lion is always, it's a solar, the lion, it represents Leo, and you've got the sun ruling Leo. And the griffin is a lion with wings, and the child is the kind of the reborn nature that occurs. There's a lot of death symbolism associated with Tiphareth, but it's actually a death in order to be reborn, in order to be made new. The peacock, not certain, but it's pretty and colorful.
A peacock, call it fly.
Yeah, just right. And then we go with the plants, real and imaginary: the acacia, the bay, the laurel, the vine, the oak, the cork, and the ash. Stones: topaz, yellow diamond, and there was other ones listed. A lot of them, like we talked about them this morning, a gray sapphire, and what other sapphire was that? Do you remember? But basically, they have a symbol of. It's not a symbol. It's actually in the stone itself. It's like the star sapphire, but that's not associated with this. It was the gray sapphire.
And the mother of emerald?
Mother of emerald was actually in reference to the earth itself.
Oh, okay.
But a couple of different of the sapphires actually have a 6-pointed star in them. So it's easy to see the relationship there. 6 being the number of the Sephiroth. And so right away, when you think of that, you also think of this Star of David, or the hexagram itself, the water and the fire being mixed, and the combination of those and what that does. That light, the lamp that never needs to be lit, because you light it from the inside. Okay, incense, frankincense and cinnamon. Frankincense is sacred to the sun, and the story was that it was. I'll save that another time because I don't want to butcher that. But one of the gods, his daughter was killed, and that beautiful tree grew up in the place of the slain daughter, or it was a slain boyfriend. But either way, the outcome was a beautiful tree that made these beautiful resins, and that's where the association came from. And it's kind of a cool story. I've learned that the myths are really a lot of side of the Greek myths and the old myths are very brutal. Kind of did a Rite of Venus this last weekend, and it talked about Uranios and being where Aphrodite came from. Her name is, translated as sea foam, but yeah, it's a pretty brutal start to where she got her seed. Her father was mutilated, to say the least, and it was thrown into the ocean, and from that foam, she arose from it. So, and it's not unlike the frankincense. So sorry to kind of go off on a tangent with that, but a lot of death and a lot of pretty things coming from the death. Cinnamon is a heated something spicy, and something that has been sacred to a lot of gods. Disease that's typically associated with an aspect of the sun would be a heart lesion. Neither one sounds too pretty or too nice to have. Nobody likes a hole in their heart. The divine names, simply Yod-He-Vav-He is the first one. What we have on the slide, though, that's the second one. But the first one would be Yod-He-Vav-He, Elo-Va-Da-Av. And loosely translated, that is the God of knowledge. So next, the archangel is Raphael. The angelic choir is the Melachim. The planetary angel is Michael. The planetary intelligence is Nachael. Planetary spirit is Sorath. And the heaven of Asya is Shamesh.
Which also looks like wow.
That it does. And wow.
Wow.
And I suggest that everybody kind of spend a little time and look up those the gematria to all of those, you'll find some interesting things. Sorath equals 666. You'll see the sun we've got a strong association, and that's where that number gets tied to the sun. It's through the planetary spirit. And so it's kind of interesting to see what else is there. We ran a little long last week, so we're going to just keep moving on.
Okay.
Where do you?
We still have the Pantheon, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
777. It's your friend.
All right. The magical formula. Lux or LVX, the magic of light. There's the IAO and INRI, or Yod Nun Resh Yod. Or the other magical formula would be Abracadabra.
All of them were the endeavors of study.
Yeah, and they're obvious solar references left and right. You can, INRI was the statement above on the crucifixion. It's the keyword analysis on the hexagram ritual. LVX is the opposite of the NOx formula. LVX is the below the abyss, and NOx is above the abyss. Each great lines of study. Abracadabra, another one you might want to look up, 418, and it was the magical formula of that Crowley brought forth, and he changed, because it was another word that was used long before, and he changed it to Abracadabra. So worthy of looking in as well. The magical weapon, the Lawmen and the Rosy cross. Yeah, we've went into the Lawmen before in other classes as well. When he talks about making a Lawmen, it was something, what he states is something that balances all aspects of the self. That's our Lawmen right there. Matter of fact, and it's the sign of an initiate of the Order of the OTO. And you'll learn more about that if you decide to join us as you go. You'll learn a little bit more and a little bit more. And I encourage those who are interested to look us up. And if the calling is to be initiated, or if the calling is to attend classes and learn as much, if that's your will, that's great. But if it's your will to initiate and further yourself along the path, I very much encourage it, and can say that there is a lot of benefit from the idea of initiation, and a lot of benefit from choosing this as your path. And yeah, encourage it. The Rose Cross, you see that a lot in the Golden Dawn. It's the rose flower, and that specifically image is on the backside of the Thoth Tarot deck. It's one that we had readily available that was easy enough to pull over on a slide. So that's why that one's picked. There's a lot of different representations of the Rose Cross. You can see the Rose Cross is simple as the sign of the cross of the elements, or the symbol for earth, which is simply a circle with a cross in it, representing the four elements. And but most often you'll see it drawn like that, and you'll see the Hebrew alphabet drawn in through the three layers there, building out, including those. So the magical power, or the mystical state, is the vision of harmony of things. And there again, I think that's tying back into the fact that it's the reconciler, the mediator, the one that gets it done. in order to do that, you have to have an appreciation and an understanding of how the things work and how they work together in order to have the vision of the harmony of things. Yeah, one of these days, maybe I'll have that vision. That would be nice.
Nice.
It'd be nice. All right. Mysteries of the Crucifixion. There's a lot of, like I said, there's death associated with this specific path on the tree. But again, I remind that it's a death to be reborn. It's not an end. It's a means to an end, and it's represented symbolically through death, and that has been a tradition for a long time. And now that we're in the new aeon, we don't subscribe to that, but we find use of the symbolism. We can make use of that symbolism still today, even in the new aeon, where we don't feel as though we have to sacrifice ourselves in order to move forward. We can be our own savior, if you will, because we are the Godhead, and we just need to acknowledge that fact and work towards that fact and align our will with the highest aspect of the will, and that truly being our divine right and divine responsibility to be that, to find our will and find our orbit in this world and do that and nothing else. The beatic vision. I'm not certain what the beatic vision was, and I didn't spend a lot of time looking that one up. That would be something along the it's the Beatitudes in the Bible, and I don't know if you remember that from Sunday school, the other type of Sunday schools.
The other type of Sunday school.
But,
yeah, no, it's not really there. But it says the mysteries of the crucifixion, and that kind of goes along with it. And isn't it the same thing as like that one's like there's a time for,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Every season there's a season for everything, kind of.
No, it's true. It's the sun.
What's that?
There is a phrase, there is a segment where it does lay out that there is a time for everything, a time for, pretty much everything you can think of, even like a time for dying, a time for, marriage and all. I forget which one it is. I'd have to look it up, but it goes on to expound upon that. And that clearly to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, falls along this line of like, of the decadence and all this, in astrology and so on, in my opinion.
And
Yeah, I
that,
like that, Brian.
and it makes the same thing for like the reconciler, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the balance. Like there's a time for death and a time for life, and there's a time for
to plant
joy
and a time
and for sadness.
to reap.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
sow and to reap. And I can, it kind of falls into the same thing that we were talking about.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting if you look at it, like I say, the allergy to Christianity can be a little strong with our kind, but but to be able to look at all the paths and all the things, because there are truths and wisdom within them all that we can benefit from if we just allow ourselves to not have allergic reactions.
Yeah. All right, the magical image is of a majestic king. And the magical image is something you would see during a ritualist, or at least in my experience, or you would see something like that. It's a meditation point. And so in a crucifixion or crucify someone. So, or also a child again. So there's a few magical images to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And the Tarot of Tiphareth, obviously this is not the sun we're speaking of. This is the card, the sun, but it's still the symbolism of the sun. So I included it here. So the king's scale of color dealing with Tiphareth, the Sephira, is clear pink rose. The queen's scale would be yellow. The prince scale would be rich salmon, and the princess scale would be gold amber. All right, in the tarot, if spelling out Tiphareth, I like to spell out all the words. This was kind of a longer one, and trying to see what the tarot's telling us about it, or what, you have the cosmic dancer, the kind of the aligner of the universe, and you have making way of clearing the space or the energy around you, basically allowing that to be cleared. And then you have the Fool come in with the olive and the life breath blowing back into it, and the regeneration of the sun. You've got the children dancing in the fairy ring, and then again you're back to that beginning, that of that cosmic dancer. Because so you really have a beginning and an ending, or an alpha and an omega, represented even in the word itself of Tiphareth. And it's kind of fitting. What I kind of thought was pretty cool is of course the Fool being centered right in the middle of that. And what is the Fool? But it's Aleph, the life breath. Again, that idea of Ruach, of the animating principle. So I think that fits really well. I got a good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like the Fool with his arms extended kind of looks like the scale, and you kind of have like that balance with both universes on the sides, and then you have like the uplifting beauty of the sun, and you've got like the destructive tower fiery force on the other side, and just kind of like well dignified, balanced. Is kind of what I get off of the.
Yeah, the destruction and the creation. I think that's very valid. I think it's a good, and it's also kind of, if you think about the path of Tiphareth and the paths leading out of it, there's the tying to Hod, the tying to Hod, Netzach, and Tiphareth being in the center. So it looks, even in his positioning,
Right, because isn't that the sun in the center
Yeah.
of his jewel flame?
Yeah, so it works pretty well in a lot of ways. They
Great.
don't always seem to match their spelling, but this one works out really well, I think.
Yeah.
So as well, when you talk about tarot, you've got the 4 6s. So again, it's any 6 because it is, well, there's 4 of them. You've got the wands, the cups, the swords, and the discs, being the tetragrammaton, Yod He Vav He, coming down the tree. The 6 of wands is Jupiter, Leo, the Lord of victory. The cups is representative of Scorpio, Lord of pleasure. 6 is Mercury in Aquarius, the Lord of science. 6 of discs is Lord of success. And I think it is Venus in Taurus, I believe. Let me see.
It's right there. I couldn't decipher.
Oh, the moon. I'm sorry. The moon. So apparently my writing was hard to, even for me to read.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it's kind of interesting to note, and one of the things that I've always noticed about the 6s in particular is that they're all well dignified. I mean, even the sword is not a bad card, and swords are just hell all the way down the tree of life, but you get to like Tiphareth and it's like, no, it's well dignified here. So yeah.
Yeah, and and it's also, that it's where it's got its comfort, because it's the air, its represented element is the air.
Exactly.
So, and it's balanced because you've got the 6, so you've got everything balanced, so that it's a comfortable little round for everybody for these ones. So
everything goes well with Tiphareth. It's like beer.
I like it.
Well said. Well said. The Six of Cups is my card as well. I'm a Scorpio. It falls right on my.
Nice.
They're all beautiful cards. I really like them too. There's not a whole lot of, there's comfort in everything that you see there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I usually do include the dates too, and I did not do that this week. So for when those are. And also, we have the princes being representative of here in Tiphareth as well. A lot of going on. And there again, it's the Tetragrammaton coming down, being represented by Vav. All right, and we have a longer one today, and last time we ran a little long, so we're going to jump right in. That's your talisman that you're going to be wearing today. Think about that being around your chest. When asked, you may be asked to present that along the path. So that's what you're going to do. If you need to use the restroom real quick, like I said, it's kind of a longer one. I get comfortable. And then we're going to get started here pretty quick. My partner just left to use the restroom real quick, and then we'll get started. But if there's any questions or comments, stones to throw, now's a good time. Or you could save that till the end, I suppose.
I guess I'm curious about the oaths that everybody talks about, but never really talks about.
The what?
The oaths of the initiation.
Yeah, because you won't hear much about those until you have the initiation itself.
Okay.
Pretty normally for that. I mean, the oaths are something that that you have to make a choice in order to move forward or not. So they're held pretty sacred. So you'll hear about them, but you won't hear about them. So it's a good way to explain it. But yeah, if you want to move forward, then you'll get an opportunity to hear and understand them. They're a big part of the initiation ceremonies themselves.
Okay. It just sounds weird to me because I've always been like, I'm freelance. So to me, like, I don't know. But everybody always talks, well, you should initiate because it'll let you understand more. So I'm like, I don't know.
You can freelance and have oaths to yourself and commitments to yourself that you come upon yourself to commit to certain things in order to align yourself with your will. That is totally something you can do on your own. But to have the oaths that are spoken of that are from the initiatory processes of organizations and groups, it's just part of the thing to go through and experience in that way. It's a different way, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. We're gonna go ahead and get started if everyone will mute, and I will vanish and then Malkut Vege Buddha Vedula Leolam Lawmen Yea. Atagabul Yalam Adonai. Before me, Raphael. Behind me, Gabriel. In my right hand, Mikael. In my left hand, Oriel. About me flames the pentagram, and within me shines the six-rayed star. Ator, Aiwas, Melkut, Vege Buddha, Vege Dula, Leolam, Amen.
Okay. So, like we do every week, take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh, followed by another deep breath. Allowing the day's concerns to leave the body. And begin to breathe in a 4-count manner. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Stay empty for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Stay empty for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Stay empty for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Stay empty for 4. Now drop the counting. Allow your breath to do what it wants. But now witness it. Witness the breath coming in and the breath going out. The breath going in and the breath going out. do this on your own for a few moments. Rejoice with me, you who are set over the east wind and the world, for whom to God serve as bodyguards at your good hour on your good day. You who are the good daemon of the world, the crown of the inhabited world, who rise from the abyss. You who each day rise a young man and set an old man. Hapenkroth, Britanofra, Briski Lamas, Aurora, Zorboroba, Mesintripa, Niptuomi, Kaumpa. I beg you, Lord, do not allow me to be overthrown, to be plotted against, to receive dangerous drugs, to go into exile, to fall on hard times. Rather, I ask you and receive from you life, health, reputation, wealth, influence, strength, success, charm, favor with all men and all women, victory over all men and all women. Yes, Lord. Allah Tonlaba, Akmanakarma, Pefimna, Fausa, Feninoen, Nahakti, Aunorba. Accomplish the matter which I want by means of your power. Wearing the symbol of the rose cross on your breast, you enter the temple of Malkuth, giving the sign of the Enterer and the sign of silence. Waiting little, Sandalphon takes you up the path of Tau to the temple of Yesod. From there, the Archangel Gabriel takes you up quickly up the 25th path of Samek. You find yourself standing at the end of the blue path of Samek, facing a golden yellow door to the temple of Tiphareth. Carved into this door is the Hebrew letter Tau, giving the sign of the Enterer, you step through the door into Tiphareth. Once inside, you give the sign of silence. The temple of Tiphareth is a chamber with 6 sides. The walls of the room are covered with gossamer veils of yellow. The ceiling is made of pure gold, displaying a central hexagram carved from topaz. The floor of the chamber is engraved with the hexagram as well. And on each point of the hexagram is a large golden candlestick bearing a long tapered candle. The 6 smaller candle flames mirror the larger central flame that sits atop a golden altar in the middle of the temple. A 6 squared cross is centered on the altar, and the entire room is scented with frankincense. Seeking to announce your presence and call forth the inhabitants of the Sephira, you vibrate the divine name, Yodi wahi elovada. And the archangel, Raphael. And the order of angels, Melachim. A slight breeze stirs the candle flames in the veils in the east of the sanctuary. Materializing from clouds of incense, an angelic figure faces you across the altar. It is a tall, slim, masculine being, youthful in appearance and fair, with fair eyes, who wears robes of yellow, displaying a violet hexagram on his breast. Great wings of gold and violet feathers rest on his slender shoulders. In his right hand, he carries a lotus wand. Raphael, the healer of God, regards you with his eyes that express his kindness and strength, and he addresses you. You have entered the realm of God, made manifest in the mind. By what symbol dost thou enter herein? By the symbol of the rose cross, which I wear upon my breast. The rose cross complements the 6-squared cross of Tiphareth, which is an opened out form of the cube of matter. The Calvary Cross is an image of the reconciler who descended into Malkuth and paved the way of the path of return. He who was unfolded in the light. The rose cross is a symbol of the way-shower, who remained unmanifest, maintaining a perfect pattern of what humanity should be, untouched by corruption and imbalance. It is a worthy symbol for the realm of beauty. Facing the archangel across the golden altar, Raphael directs your attention to the temple flame burning brightly in a bowl carved from a yellow diamond. The flame flares suddenly and the room around you becomes translucent. The sanctuary fades from view. It is replaced by a swirling mass of white clouds. Against the backdrop of clouds, an image comes into view. It is the tree of life. You hear the voice of Raphael as he recites the following prayer. From thine hand, O Adonai, cometh all good. The characters of nature with thy fingers thou hast traced, but none can read them unless he hath been taught in thy school. Therefore, even as servants look unto the hands of their masters and handmaidens, unto their mistresses, even so our eyes look unto thee. For thou alone art our help. The vision of the tree of life draws you in. It seems to grow larger until all you see is the golden orb of Tiphareth, which draws you in. There is a flash of golden light, and then your eyes adjust to your surroundings. You are standing in the middle of the ruins of a stone fortress. Standing on the ramparts above you are winged figures. They are dressed in yellow robes covered by cloaks of purple. Each of them wears a crown on their head. They surround you on all 4 sides. One of their numbers descends from the stone wall and approaches you. Never have you seen a more regal figure. He has long hair, golden hair, a short, neatly trimmed beard, and eyes of the deepest blue. His purple cloak is garnished with ermine, and a jeweled cross hangs from his neck. He carries an air of royalty about him, and you could well imagine him holding a court in some medieval palace. He speaks to you in a familiar voice, and you recognize him as the Archangel of Tiphareth, in his persona as Raphael Melachiel, ruler of the angelic host of the 6th Sephira. Raphael speaks. We are the Melachim, the kings, the order of angels associated with the Sephira of Tiphareth. We are keepers of equilibrium in the universe. We are the lords of pivot, constantly forming strong centers around which all the systems and paradigms of the universe revolve. Everything in the cosmos exists because of an interplay between opposites, and we provide the nucleus around which the opposing forces dance eternally. Day and night, male and female, mercy and severity. These represent the continuous duality in nature, those forces whose reconciliation is the key of life in these forces. Unbalanced power is the ebbing away of life. Unbalanced mercy is weakness and the fading out of the will. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and barrenness of mind. The middle way is the way of balance. For while the wheel revolves, the hub is still. Seek ever the center. Look from without to within. The Melachim are providers of knowledge and experience. We supply the connection to the many levels of the tree from the highest to the lowest. We aid in the transmission of wisdom from the heights of Kether to the depths of Yesod, which reflects our influence to Malkuth. We facilitate true knowledge and self-understanding to those who aspire to the great work. We provide unconditional love and respect. We bestow the gifts of harmony and self-esteem, and we lead initiates to the realization of their true calling in life. We are also the healers, the healing the wounds, both physical and spiritual, of humanity. We heal all afflictions and turn the experience of suffering into spiritual wisdom. Raphael points to the rose cross symbol on your breast. The symbol of suffering is the symbol of strength. Despise not sadness and hate not suffering, for they are the initiators of the heart. The Melachim, the old stone fortress they stand on, fade from sight in a swirl of yellow mist. You find yourself standing in an underground chamber. It is a long, narrow room with a central aisle flanked on both sides by a broad raised bench. The ceiling is round and painted like the night sky filled with the stars and constellations of the zodiac. The walls of the chamber are decorated with frescoes, reliefs, statues of deities inside wall niches. One long band containing frescoes of the zodiacal signs extends from the northeast corner of the hall to the southwest corner. Another band of frescoes containing the image of the planets extends from the northwest to the southeast. Both bands cross in the center of the ceiling. In the east, there is a large fresco depicting a figure holding a struggling bull. Surrounding this are smaller paintings. You realize that you are inside an ancient Roman Mitharium, or sanctuary of Mithras, the Lord of Light adopted by the Roman soldiery from the Persians. Mithras is a savior god hailed by the Romans as a god of kings and friend to humanity. His name is based on an Indo-European word meaning friend. Mithras reconciles between Ahura Mazda, the god of light, and Ahirim, the god of darkness. He maintains the balance between them, fighting on the side of Ahura Mazda. Mithras makes certain that darkness does not overwhelm the light. He also reconciles between human beings, binding them to remain true to their word and honor in all responsibilities, oaths, and obligations. Mithras is a god of ethical conduct, truth, justice, discipline, who bestows favors on the virtuous and punishments on the wicked. Yet he is a compassionate God who forgives those who are truly repentant for their transgressions and failings. He is Savior God because his sacrifice of the heavenly bull allows souls to be born into this world. His final ascension into the heavens shows humanity the way of the souls return through the seven spheres back to the eternal realm of the fixed stars. Two skylights at the either end of the chamber provide illumination. There are also torches embedded in the walls. The temple resembles a cave or crypt, for although Mithras is a god of light, light is better appreciated in the confines of darkness. The sanctuary symbolizes the universe as a whole. It is a miniature version of the cosmic egg. It reminds you of another legendary crypt, the tomb of Christian Rosenkreuz, a seven-sided room with symbols covering each wall. Although the sun never shone in the tomb of CRC, it was illuminated by a higher sun. An inscription from the tomb of Christian Rosenkreuz comes to your mind. I have constructed this tomb for myself as a compendium of the universal unity. You notice some of the paintings on the wall. One of them depicts the birth of Mithras from a rock, a sacred stone cut without hands from a mountain. The rock splits open in a blaze of fire and light. The naked child Mithras emerges from the stone, holding a dagger in one hand and sheaves of wheat in the other, symbols of severity and mercy. The birth of the child represents hope and the potential for redemption of souls. Another painting shows Mithras firing at an arrow at a rock, causing water to pour forth from the stone. Another painting shows Mithras as a king, the Cosmocrator, or the ruler of the cosmos. Helios, the sun god, kneels in submission before him. From child to king, the heroic exploits of Mithras are documented on the walls of the temple. Walk into the east of the temple. You examine the fresco of Mithras sacrificing the bull. You notice that there is a small room hidden behind the painted wall. You enter the chamber, which is no bigger than a closet, and discover a ladder with 7 steps. Between the rungs of the ladder are the images of the 7 planets, with Mercury at the bottom and Saturn at the top. At the top of the ladder, you see daylight. Ascending the ladder, you find yourself gazing at the ancient city of Rome, situated on 7 hills overlooking the Tiber River. Pulling yourself above ground, you see the magnificent architecture of the Romans. Palaces, temples, and governmental buildings, all built on the Greek model. Turning your attention to the sky, you are astonished to see a celestial event from eons past. A vision that fills the sky of the city. It is the mighty god Mithras himself, astride the white bull of heaven. The god appears as a young man wearing a tunic and trousers of a Persian soldier. He has a star-speckled Phrygian cap. On his head and his cape is the stellar vault of the sky. Rays of light emerge from his head like a halo as he holds the great bull down with one knee. You realize that you were witnessing a legendary event 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. In very ancient times, the sign of Taurus ruled the skies for a millennium. The first day of spring, the vernal equinox, occurred when the sun was in the sign of Taurus. But after 2,000 years, the gods decided that a procession of the equinox was called for. The age of Taurus was commanded to give way to the age of Aries, when the vernal equinox would occur in the sign of the Ram. Thus, every 2,000 years hence, the first day of spring would occur in a different sign of the zodiac, and in no single astrological sign would be allowed to dominate the heavens indefinitely. The cycles of time would not be permitted to stagnate or fall out of balance, for the harmony of the universe was to be maintained. Ahura Mazda, the god of light, chose his champion Mithras to slay the bull of heaven and create the procession of the equinox. The heart of Mithras is heavy with regret, for he is fond of this noble animal. It is a great sacrifice for the god to slay the beast he loves. Carrying out his painful task, Mithras pins the mighty beast down with his knee, turns away his head, and plunges in his sword into the shoulder of the bull. He doesn't want to see the creature die. The wounded animal lets out a brief bellow of pain before it drops its head in death. The bull's blood pours out and forms the course of the Milky Way. This is the starry path that is traversed by newborn souls as they enter into this world. It is also the celestial pathway that souls must travel back on the eternal source of the universe. The spilt blood becomes the pathway of rebirth and salvation. The vision of Mithras and the bull fades from view and is replaced by the starry image of the Milky Way against the vast backdrop of space. As you gaze on the celestial scene, you hear the voice of Mithras echoing through the cosmos. I am Mithras, Deus Sol Invictus. Mithras, god of the unconquered sun, behind Helios, the conquered sun. I am the sun beyond the sun. I am the Cosmocrator, ruler of the cosmos. I am a stone cut without hands, son of the Most High, God of kings, and friend to the righteous. I am the mediator between the two powers of good and evil, of light and of darkness. I am the Lord of the contract and the sacred trust, upholding all oaths and obligations. I am a God of generation, and I prepare the way for immortality, the transmutation of rebirth by sacrifice, by shedding of the eternity-giving blood. I am the symbol of the living God beyond decay. I am the deathless spirit, the incorruptible holy breath, which proclaims the oracle of the soul of the universe. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, which is and was and which is to come, the Almighty. I am the transcendent good. Verily, my initiates are born out of the state of birth and death that giveth birth to mortal lives. Set free, they pass to this state, transcending birth, as I have established it, according to what I have ordained and made the mastery. The voice of the invisible sun god continues. This is the sphere of the heart and the center of the tree of life, the halfway point between the one ultimate unity and the countless diversity of the mundane world. Tiphareth is the midpoint between the human and the divine, between the individual self and the universal self. The sixth Sephira is the God between the personal and the infinite, between the child and the king. All gods are models for self-realization. They are archetypal beings who have made the transition from the individual to the infinite and who have opened up pathways between the highest and the lowest levels of the self. They provide a gateway for others to do the same. And this gateway is the door to the spiritual rebirth when all ignorance has been driven out. The torments of darkness have flown away with rushing wings. When a person is born again, it's no longer the body of 3 dimensions that he perceives, but the incorporeal. He is born again in mind. Remember that things divine are not attained by mortals who understand the body alone, for only those who are lightly armed can attain to the summit. Beware the vice of spiritual pride. Study well the great arcanum of the proper equilibrium of severity and mercy. For either unbalanced is not good. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and oppression. Unbalanced mercy is but weakness and would permit evil to exist unchecked, thus making itself the accomplice of that evil. Do not fall into the trap of religious fanaticism. Insights gained from your own personal rebirth are intended for you alone. They are not to be forced on others, for such sacred experiences become the toxic fruits of one's own ego when shoved down the throat of another who has not experienced the same for himself. Remember, the truly wise person is built in his own eyes, however great his attainments, and that even the highest intellectual achievements are as nothing in the eyes of the Lord of the universe, for he looketh at the heart. The vision of the Milky Way disappears, and you're at once looking again out at the buildings and the hills of Rome. On a nearby hillside, you see something you didn't notice before. Someone has carefully erected a small wooden cross, the emblem of another Savior God that has taken up residence in Rome. The new mystery religions of transcendence and resurrection are gaining popularity in the ancient world. You have a little time to ponder this fact. And you realize this. So you quickly begin to look for your own personal sign, your own personal symbol, your own personal instruction that is for you. A direct communication to the Holy Sphere of Tiphareth. Spend a few moments looking for this in silence. knowing that it's time to go now. We give thanks to Tiphareth for the symbol or the sign, the impression. We give thanks to the bull, to Mithras. In a flash of light, the scene vanishes. You find yourself once again in the astral temple of Tiphareth, facing the archangel Raphael across the altar. No longer dressed in the regalia of a king, but in simple yellow robe. Raphael greets you with a tender pat on the shoulder. He gives you a few minutes, a few moments to adjust to your surroundings. Thanking the archangel for the healing, for this glimpse of the mysteries of Tiphareth. You quickly return following the blue path of Samek from Tiphareth to Yesod. Then descending down the path of Tau to the temple of Malkuth, where Sandalphon greets you warmly, facing through the portal you first entered at the start of your journey. Give the sign of the enter and pass through it. Once on the other side, give the sign of silence. Before completely coming back, do a quick vanishing of your body, and we're going to do the simple apopantos kakadaimenos, where you put your finger to your lips and exhale forcefully, stating apopantos kakadaimenos. And allow yourself to come on back and let us fade from view for now. Good time to write about your experience if you've got any symbols or signs or impressions. It's always good to write that down. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the recording part of this right now, and then we'll chat about it a little bit.
I just wanted to say, if you enjoyed the content, YouTube out there, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support us, please visit www.pdxoto.org.
And do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law, love under will.
And thanks for joining us. And we're going to stop recording now. So.